Good evening, everyone. My name is Jacqui Owen, and I'm the Relationship Manager at the College of Law. And I'm joined by my lovely colleague, Jennifer Sturgis, who is a lecturer within our Practical Legal Training program. And Jennifer's got her little helper with her this evening as well, her little dog, Piper. So if you do hear a little wolf, that's just Piper helping us with the presentation. She has been for her walkies, though, so she is asleep on the floor. She's pretty cute.
Thank you, Jacqui.
Maybe we'll meet her at the end. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to Practical Legal Training at the College of Law. I'm just going to find the share button before I turn the slides on. That works better, I find. So turn on our slides. I think you can all see those now. So we'll go through a little bit of a presentation about all the different parts of PLT and explain some of the ins and outs. And Jen's actually also here to tell you a little bit about things from the lecturer's point of view, about how the assessment is different to uni, how that's all structured. And also we might peek into her, I'll turn my slides off and Jen will share her screen and peek into our system. So we'll peel back the curtain of the College of Law and show you what a student portal looks like and what all the resources are like, and the timetable and everything that we provide you to assist you through PLT. So there's a lot. So let's go get started, and we'll go through things bit by bit. So for those that aren't connected with me on LinkedIn, please feel free to connect with me via LinkedIn. And I find that's a great way to stay in touch. You can, of course, email me any questions or give me a buzz. And Nicola has all my contact details as well, so you can always get those from the Law Student Society. And Nicola, please do feel free to share those around as much as you like. Always happy for people to contact me if you do want to chat directly. The College of Law also has some great information coming out on social media. I find that Facebook and LinkedIn are probably the best ones, although we do have an Instagram as well. And there's a lot more information than just PLT stuff up there. There's lots of free webinars and seminars with employability skills, and just lots of information about what's going on in the profession as well. So I find that's a really great source of information. So just some little tips there. So before we get started, as we gather for this presentation, I recognise that many of you watching online are on different lands of different traditional custodians, and I'd like to acknowledge all of the traditional custodians of the lands we're all present on today, and any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of our audience today or watching the recording at a later date. We pay our respects to each of their elders, past, present and emerging. Okay, so let's get into it. I love this analogy. We're talking about today what it will take to take you from law school or a fresh new law graduate through to an admitted practitioner as part of the profession. So law school is very much about building that foundation. So you've built the boat. You built hopefully a nice solid vessel that'll take you out onto the seas of law land. So university is about teaching you the theoretical foundations of the law, and it doesn't matter how practical your degree is. You're learning about the law, and you're learning, the theory of the law at university. But it's very different when you come to PLT, and we're going to teach you how to learn to sail that boat, that good solid vessel, hopefully. And we'll cover the practical tools that you need on top of your theoretical foundations for you to work in the profession as a competent and confident entry-level practitioner. Of course, you'll continue to learn, especially in those first 2 years of practice before you go onto an unrestricted practicing certificate. And we do obviously learn and develop our skills and knowledge throughout our time in the profession. But this PLT is giving you those tools that you'll need to get started and hopefully sort of know what you're doing when you get to that first job or within that first job. So hopefully it isn't a great shock to anyone that just having your law degree from Griffith University is not enough to call yourself a lawyer. In fact, you can get yourself into some trouble from the powers that be if you do go around or sort of represent yourself to be a lawyer with just a law degree. So you're a law graduate at that time. And that's definitely the first step that is required. I did see an amusing message on our sort of Facebook private messages at the College of Law the other day, how to become a lawyer without doing a law degree. Two words, you can't. You do need that law degree. It's a requirement in Australia to become a lawyer. There's no getting away from that. And some of you are nearly there. So you've nearly ticked off that very important first step. Then the next step is to obtain your graduate diploma of legal practice, which is the qualification that PLT or practical legal training will get you. So it's an additional postgraduate qualification. And then after that, you'll receive your completion certificate, your graduate diploma of legal practice, and you'll go through the process of admission with, let's just say, the Queensland Legal Practitioners Admissions Board. If Queensland's, let's just assume that everyone will be practicing in Queensland, although obviously you will do the same process in whatever state if you decide to move before practicing here. You'll declare yourself, prove yourself a fit and proper person, and then there's a lovely admission ceremony in the Supreme Court of Queensland. The closest one to probably most of you is the Brisbane Supreme Court, and I think it was last Monday, so just gone a week ago was the last session, and it's really lovely. Each person will stand up as their mover, which is someone that you ask to move your admission, who's a legal practitioner themselves, will stand up, sort of pretty much read a prescribed speech, which basically just states your name, your law qualifications, so that if it pleases the court, I'd like to apply for the admission of, let's just say it's Nicola Button as a legal practitioner, and Nicola has holds the degree of insert degree, so Bachelor of Laws from Griffith University, and has completed, and I'm going to make a huge assumption here, practical legal training at the College of Law, and holds the recommendation of the board. So that's pretty much what they say, as each of you will stand up one by one, and you stand up in order of seniority of your mover, which is interesting, not your order, but so if you've asked a barrister, they usually are first, and then the more senior. So let's just say that it's in a couple of years' time, and Jen's moving someone and Nicola's moving someone. Jen, being the eldest stateswoman of the profession, would be first before, say, Nicola, who might only be admitted a short time. So that's how that works, which is kind of fun. And then everyone stands at the end, all the new lawyers, and as a group you recite the oath and an allegiance, and you'll read that off, and it's quite fun actually. Last week it was a bit strange because it was the first time I'd heard that oath with King Charles III in it rather than Queen Elizabeth II, so that was quite different, I guess, is the only word. It was like, oh yeah, there's a change afoot. So then everyone goes outside, you sign the roll of solicitors, and then take a million photos and go for a lovely lunch. So make sure you schedule that whole day off for celebrations with your family and friends and supporters. You'll then apply for your practicing certificate through the admissions board, and that's when you will technically be able to call yourself a lawyer. Now, that's when you can work in law roles and change your title on your business card and your email footer and your LinkedIn, and you can tell people you are a lawyer. You can also, of course, still keep working in non-legal roles. And then the last step here is a little bit after the College of Law. Once you've been practicing, you can then do another course, which is the Bar Prac course through the Bar Association, and go to the bar and become a barrister. But we're here to talk about just getting to that first stage of being a solicitor. So that's how it will work. So we talked to some of our graduates just over a year ago now about what the benefits of studying PLT at the College of Law. And we're actually talking about this just over lunch today in the staff room, so to speak. Not that we really have a staff room, but as a group, and talking about how the College of Law is really well designed to support people who are working, because it's got flexibility. So not all of our students are working, but about 80% are, and whether they're working part-time or full-time, some of them might not be working in the law, but most of them are. And so it's a program that can fit in and around your life, your work commitments, your family commitments, your carer commitments, whatever else you have going on. So it's a program that fits with everything else that you're doing. And we'll talk about how that can fit around shortly. It's also very practical. So it really is what it sounds like. It's the practical skills that you'll need. And we focus on learning by doing. So focusing on those real world tasks, and Jen will talk to this shortly, rather than just learning about the theory. You'll actually, so not just learning about the theory of, let's say, a property transaction, you'll actually be completing all the documentation that you need for a mock property matter. So you'll be, the assessment will be pretending to act for someone selling or buying a property, and you'll go through all the, actually preparing the documents that you'd need for that transaction, rather than just learning about them theoretically. So it's very much about setting you up for success, supporting you from day one, and allowing you to practicing the law in that safe, secure environment. So no one's losing their house, their family, their freedom, their business, nothing drastic will happen. So you're in that mock sandpit environment, learning about practicing the law, but without any consequences. So you can learn from your mistakes, receive that feedback, and put that feedback back into your work to make yourself a better practitioner, so that you'll get it right when you are out there in the law doing it for real. And of course, the College of Law is a very trusted PLT provider. We exist purely and solely to train lawyers. We've been doing this for nearly 50 years. PLT's only been around since the 90s. I say that, what's that, 30-ish years. However, before that, we were training lawyers with the previous system. So we not only do PLT, but we also do a very practical master's program. We do CPD. We do the legal practice management certificate, which is what you need to hang out your own shingle. And we also do mediation courses as well. So pretty much any training that lawyers need, from graduating from uni through till retirement, the College of Law is there for you to give you that real practical training throughout the course of your career. So flexibility, we mentioned that was kind of the number one thing that people were interested in. So first of all, do you want to, one of the first decisions you'll have to make when you're doing your enrollment is, do you want to do the course completely online or in a blended or a mixed format? So if this was way before COVID, which feels like 1,000 years ago, before COVID, Jen and I would be saying, okay, so week 1 is face-to-face workshops, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And you've got the choice of doing that in Brisbane at the College of Law, which is in Ann Street, right by City Hall. You always know what time it is because you can hear the ding, ding, ding of the big clock. So it's right there, stone's throw from the courts. And that's where week 1 happens. And the rest is online. You can also do week 1. We also teach twice a year at the Gold Coast, the Sunshine Coast, Toowoomba, Rockhampton, Cairns and Townsville. So there's 6 other locations. But of course, COVID happened and we couldn't be together face to face. So we moved everything online. Now week 1 is still Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 full time for that first week, but it's in a Zoom classroom, but kind of not like this. We would all be on camera because Jen has to put her hand on her heart and swear to the admissions board that you are all in class for every single session, and that you are still required to sort of interact and be involved with what's going on. And then the rest of the course is no lectures, no tutorials, but working through kind of mock matters that you're given with all the information. So learning by doing. So Jen will go through that shortly. The second decision you'll have to make is, would you like to do part-time or full-time? So our full-time program is only 15 weeks, so you can move through quite quickly to admission. So week 1 is that full-time face-to-face workshop week, and then the other 14 weeks fit in and around work. So you can pretty much do your stuff anytime that suits you. But there is a timetable where you have due dates for everything. But pretty much you don't have to be sitting there at a certain time on a Wednesday to get stuff done. You can do it at, midnight on the weekend, whatever time suits you. A lot of people talk about, doing their reading and doing their stuff on the train to work, lunch times, all around things. Our part-time program is 30 weeks. So week 1 is full-time, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. But the rest of the time, it's more of a part-time workload. So that's what we recommend if you are working. Now, we also have an evening option. So it's only for the part-time course, and that is designed. And so instead of having to do that full-time Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 week, we take that 1 week and we carve it up into about 12 different workshops, and they run over 6 weeks on a Tuesday and a Thursday night. From 5:30 to 8:30, I believe. So twice a week. So that's great if, for whatever reason, you can't take that full week away from work, and you want to do it. And that's actually become so popular. We've doubled the number of those intakes per year from 2 to 4. And the numbers in each class have also doubled. So it's been very popular. So day or night. And then with the College of Law, and this is great when for Griffith students that are on a trimester system, if you just miss one course, you're not waiting 6 months till the next one. We have 150 intakes a year nationally. About 30 of those are in Queensland. So pretty much with it being online, we do, we are bringing back some of the face-to-face options. They're sort of spread throughout the year, but if you're not fussed and you'll just do whatever's coming next, you really only have to wait sort of some months it's only a month, sometimes it might be 6 weeks, but it's not longer than a couple of months for sure. It's not a whole semester. So we have a lot of intakes that can suit. I've already mentioned this is all the locations that we do teach that first week face-to-face. So 6 locations plus Brisbane, so 7 locations in Queensland. Okay, so let's talk about the nitty and the gritty of ELT. So I like to divide it up into 3 parts. We've got coursework. So this is your 15 or your 30-week program. So it's the same program, just done a little bit more slower for our part-time students so that they can work full-time. And you attend those workshops, and then you complete 4 compulsory subjects and 2 electives, and that becomes your program. Then there's a body of work experience that you have to do, and we've got 3 options for you at the moment, and I'll explain those shortly. And then there's a continuing professional education component. So you need to tick off coursework, work experience and CPE by your course end date or shortly thereafter before you can receive your completion certificate, which is your graduate diploma of legal practice that you need for admission. So let's break those 3 parts down. So Jen's going to talk more about the coursework, but basically not only is this a diagram for life, but it's definitely a diagram with the learning process at the College of Law. So you're learning by doing, so practicing that learning. You're obtaining feedback, individualized feedback from your, I guess, mock supervisor, so your lecturer or your mentor, and you're learning from that feedback. You review it, you'll learn from it, and then you'll improve things and gain more feedback. So pretty much that's the circle. So what I might do, Jen, is turn off, I'll end that slideshow.
And shall I share my screen?
Actually, yeah, stop sharing. That's the button I really needed to press.
Okay. Are you happy for me to share my screen?
Yeah, you go ahead. I'll go on mute in case my dogs start barking, but I think they're pretty quiet tonight.
Thank you, everybody. Can everyone see that timetable? Yes. Now, look, it might be a bit small, and hang on a second, I might just try and zoom it out a bit. Does that make a bit more sense, everybody? Can you see that a bit better? I just obviously don't want to go through it line by line, but I just, following on from what Jacqui said, we have a 15-week course option, which is the full-time course, and then a part-time option, which goes at about half the pace. Obviously, the work that you're required to do is exactly the same. The work, the dates for the work are sort of set in stone, if you like. So when you enroll in the course, and shortly before you commence the course, you'll get the timetable, and I've just got it up here. So every date for the first workshop week, which you will see there is across the top, where you will do all those those soft skills that Jacqui said that you have to attend for the first week, virtually if you would like, via Zoom, or we do have a couple of options where you can attend face-to-face. You will do all of the things that we've got listed up there: interviewing, wellbeing in practice, which is, talking about mental health and ways you can keep yourself, well, writing and drafting, negotiation, dispute resolution, and then 2 days of advocacy. So as I said, they're all the soft skills that can't really be taught online. You will do that week. And then everyone will go online, and the rest of the course is essentially run online. You'll see there's all different color codes here. The green is when activities are due. So as Jacqui said, we do 4 compulsory subjects. They are ethics and professional responsibility, and they're done consecutively. So you do them. You have set tasks that you have to hand in to your lecturer. You hand them in, you get feedback. Once you've got the feedback, they're either satisfactory or not satisfactory. If they're not satisfactory, you might have to do a little bit more work on them. Hand them back to your lecturer. You get personal feedback on all of those tasks, and once you've done one task, it's satisfactory, you move on to the next task. So this is a part-time course. You're going to do about 1 activity a week that you have to hand into your lecturer. Once you've done all of the tasks, the final task, you will do your oral assessment, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Before you do the oral assessment for the compulsory subjects, you also have to do, you'll see here on the Friday, an online multiple choice test before you're able to do the assessment. We don't do that to be mean. It's really just more for you to assess how you're going with the subject, and you've got to get 50% in that test. And if you don't get 50%, then you're probably not ready to sit the oral assessment. If you don't get 50%, you can just keep doing the test till you get 50%. But once you've done all of the tasks, the multiple choice test, you will then move on the next week and do the oral assessment. We do oral assessments, and some people get nervous about that. And the oral assessment is also worth 100% of your marks. When people hear that, they think, oh no. Can I assure you, I think it's actually an easier way to assess. We used to have written exams and things before, but they've obviously gone by the wayside. The reason I say it's not, I'm not suggesting it's easy, but it's not too difficult. Most people don't have too much difficulty with it, is that it's largely based upon the tasks you've already done. All of the assessments are open book, so you can bring with you or have on the screen all of the tasks you've done. And it's really a conversation between you, the student, and the assessor, like you would say if you're a junior solicitor and a partner talking about a file. The partner might be asking you questions. What do you think about this? Why did you write that? And you've really got to be, just able to answer those questions. So I don't think it's an overly stressful experience. It really is just having more or less a chat. They last an hour or close to an hour, and everything is accessible, but they largely focus on the tasks. So if you've done the tasks, you've read the feedback, you understand why you've done what you've done in the tasks, you shouldn't have too much difficulty at all. As I said, when you hand everything in, you will get personal feedback. So you're not going to hand something in and work really hard on it. You're just going to get general feedback. It'll be targeted to you. It'll be aimed at if you've gone wrong, showing you where you've gone wrong. If you've done a good job, it'd probably be just, commenting on that, giving you a bit of extra information, and all of that will be useful when you do the oral assessment. So I don't think it's overly stressful. When you've done all of the activities and it's time to book in for the oral assessment, you'll be sent an email and you can book in at a time of your choosing. So you can choose a time and book in. So whatever sort of is convenient to you, that's the time you can choose. As I said, we do all the subjects in consecutive order. So we do ethics and professional responsibility. Then you'll see on the timetable, we move on to civil litigation. Same thing, handing a task in every week, getting feedback on it. Then doing the oral assessment. We move on then to property, which is the next task that you have, the next subject you have to do. You once again complete all of the tasks. And then finally, the final compulsory subject is commercial and corporate practice. So you will do commercial and corporate practice. You will sit the assessment for that. So you're not like at uni juggling 2 or 3 subjects or 3 or 4 subjects at the same time. You're doing one at a time. The final 2 subjects are those electives. So you get a choice out of 8 subjects and you choose 2. So things like banking and finance, family law, criminal law, admin law, consumer law, wills and estates, employment law. I think that's it. Planning and environment. I think they're the 8. You choose 2 of those and you do those 2 subjects at the same time. However, they are about half the size or even less of the subjects that you've previously done. So you will do those together and you'll do the assessments together as well. So that's the timetable. Now, as I said, I always say to students, print it out and perhaps have it on your wall because it is set in stone. So the oral assessments will occur on the date that is set out in the timetable. Having said that, and I'm sure Jacqui will concur, the College of Law is very flexible. So for example, if you're taken ill, you can't do the oral assessment. If you're overwhelmed with work, if you've fallen behind, that is fine. Every month we have a couple of what we call catch-up sessions. So let's say you're sick, you can't do your commercial and corporate oral assessment in March 2023. You've fallen behind in the tasks, you will get the tasks in and then you'll ask to book in for a catch-up assessment and you'll do it at a later date. So that's absolutely no problem. As I said, we are very flexible, but obviously it's best to keep, up with what is, with the timetable as set out if you want to finish in time. So does that sort of make sense to everybody? So it's all set out very well. Now I'm going to try and get into, I don't know if this will work. Can you see my screen there, everyone? Yes. Now this is our I just want to briefly, I don't want to take up too much of your time. This is our Canvas learning portal. So this is the operating system that we use at the college. Most people find once they've gotten used to it, which doesn't take too long, it's fairly easy. This is just the page when you open up the learning portal. It's got a video there of how to operate it. So I think that's very helpful. If you go down, there's a dashboard and it sets out every subject that you're doing. And so if you, as I said, apart from the electives, you're doing one subject at a time. So let's say you're doing civil litigation, you want to get into civil litigation, you can just click on civil litigation and in you go. So we might have a quick look at one of the subjects. We've got a couple of minutes, haven't we, Jacqui? Do that. I think that might be a good idea. This is a civil litigation subject. It's, I think, fairly easy to navigate. We're even going to try and make it, probably by the time you have started, it will have changed slightly because we're trying to make it even easier for the students to navigate. But basically, each subject, you saw on the timetable, there are things you have to hand in every week. If you're doing the course full-time, you don't hand one thing in a week, you hand in 2 things in a week because it goes at twice the pace. But we have tasks that you have to complete in every subject. And then, and you'll see there, this is just this bit of writing here just talks about the subject and what it's all about and that sort of thing. All of the tasks are set out here. So if we go into task 1, you will see then in task 1, there are 3 activities that have to be completed. So there are, you know, in some subjects, like in ethics, there are 4 tasks. Civil litigation, there are 3. I think there are 3 in property, but then they're broken down into subtasks or activities, and you have to do one of those if you're part-time per week. Once again, it's all timetable. So let's say civil litigation task 1, activity 1 is timetabled. You simply come down here, go into the instructions, and the instructions will tell you what to do, basically. With most of the activities, well, in fact, I think all of the activities, you will have a file that you have to open. So just as you would have a file in real life. So the tasks themselves are very practical. So you'll have to, we've got a memorandum here from a partner. We've got a statement from a client. The civil litigation tasks revolve around a claim for breach of contract. So we've got the partner here is asking us to do various things. For example, we might be asked to, in task 1, activity 2, write an initial letter of advice to the client. Task 1, activity 3 requires us to draw the pleadings, a claim and statement of claim. And we're given all the necessary information that we need to do whatever task it is we're being asked to do. So all you have to do is, as I said, look at the instructions. The instructions will tell you what to do, read the file, and then complete the task, and then hand it into your lecturer. As I said, they are practical tasks, so you won't be looking up cases, quoting cases, none of that. Clients, generally speaking, are not interested in cases or anything like that. You'll be doing practical things. For example, as I said, writing a letter of advice to a client, perhaps doing a bit of research for a partner and writing a memo, drawing pleadings, completing someone in a property matter, someone buys a property, drawing a contract for the client, all those types of things that you might be doing, giving them advice about a lease. So you'll have to look at the lease and give them some advice about a lease, working out settlement figures, you know, in commercial and corporate, giving a client advice, perhaps they're buying a business, what entity, like a company or a partnership, should they use to purchase it, all those sorts of, so they are strictly all tasks that are practical. So as I said, you won't be looking up cases or anything like that. The Canvas Learning Portal has everything in it that you will need to complete the PLT course. So you don't need to be running off and doing research or anything like that. Everything is in there. And if I can just show you with the task, you will see that you've got the instructions and there's a file you have to open. It also comes with its own resources. So all of the resources that you will need to complete the task are there. For example, just this is civil litigation. So here's a link to the Uniform Civil Procedure Rules. In other, you know, obviously the resources vary depending upon what sort of task you're doing. If you have to draw pleadings, there'll be a link to the court forms, so you can find the court forms, all that sort of thing. There is also in every task a case study. So you will actually, in this task 1, activity 1, you have to do something called a proof making model. I won't go into what that is, but we have a case study which, using another file, goes through and allows you, if you follow it through, helps you to complete a proof making model. So when it comes time for you to have to do that in this task, you've got a template for the proof making model. So even though it's online, there's a lot of material online which will help you with the tasks that you've got to do. I should add also, I'm one of the lecturers at the college, and I think I can speak for all my colleagues. We're more than happy for people to contact us because we know you are out in the ether and sometimes it's a bit confusing. And speaking for myself, to be perfectly honest, I quite like it when students contact me because I don't like just sitting there looking at a screen all day. So I think one thing you will find if you attend the College of Law, we are very flexible. We're only too happy to help. If people have got questions, we would much prefer you email us or telephone us, because we might be able to sort it out. So if you've looked at the resources, had a go at the case study and are still having problems, get in touch with us. The tasks and the activities that you've got to do, I don't think are hard. Now, I'm not suggesting they're super easy, provided you put in the time and do the work. You shouldn't have too much difficulty with the course. The main reason people get into trouble is that they get behind. And I mean, I know it's hard, particularly when you're working, but if you can sort of perhaps make a promise to yourself to do a bit of work, you know, every second night or on the weekend, I don't think you should have too much trouble with this course at all. I think it is completely doable. If you are working full time, it's always a good idea to to do the part-time course. We always advise students to do that, but we do have plenty of students working full-time and doing the full-time course, as I said, which is 2 activities to hand in a week, and they do manage to do it. But the part-time course, I think, is much, that would be my advice anyway, much easier if you're working full-time. But has anyone got any questions at all, or do we do questions at the end, Jacqui, or?
There's no questions in the chat, but if anyone does want to flick the microphone in or put something on the chat or ask at the end, or.
I'll just say in conclusion, everything's on the learning portal. I think it is we step you through everything. It's very, I think, easy to understand. You'll get personal feedback. And as I said, you will know right from day one when everything's due, so you can work ahead, or if you're going on holidays, plan ahead. And as I said, we are nothing if not flexible.
Exactly. Thanks, Jen. That's great.
Thank you. I'll stop sharing.
If anyone does want to ask any questions now or later on, so just let me go back to my slides and we will keep going. Hold on, I'm just going to lost my chat box. Keep an eye on that.
I'll keep an eye on it.
You keep an eye on it. That'll be great. Thanks, Jen. It sort of disappears when you go into share screen. Okay, so again, skills for real life through PLT, learning by doing, mastering the day-to-day, those everyday tasks and documents that you'll be required to, will be asked to do most likely in that entry-level legal profession, and things that you will be actually doing in practice. And all of our grads say that they really did appreciate the feedback throughout the course, and that really helped them to get through and to really learn and improve their work. And of course, all culminating in the review session, which is the less threatening way of saying online oral assessment. So that's when you basically just sit and have a chat with someone lovely like Jen and reflect on what you've learned throughout that subject, and they ask you questions about anything that you've done throughout. So it's not things over and above the work that you've done to get through to that final oral assessment. It's everything that was contained in that subject, and it's open book, and you will have everything there with you, although you do have to know it. You can't sort of be looking it up as you go. Okay, so that's coursework, and happy to take any questions throughout the time, but let's now move on to work experience. So the second component, most people do this at the same time, but you can do it after your coursework as well. So it's kind of up to you how you structure it. It's your decision. Now, before COVID, we had 2 options, the standard option and the clinical experience short option. And then now we have the in-practice component, even shorter option with 0 days work experience. That at the moment is being offered through till mid-2023. So it might not be happening when some of you are here, but some of you, it might still be an option. That's actually up to the admitting bodies and the Chief Justice. It's out of College of Law's control. We would like it to keep going forever, but you know, we're we're regulated by a number of different bodies that make those decisions. But let's talk about the standard option. So the great news, this is actually what most of our students do. So the great news is if anyone's working now and they are coming to us within the next 2 years, you can actually be claiming 60 of your 75 days of work experience in the 2 years before commencing PLT. So let's just say if we look at, say, the group we had starting last week, so October 2022, they can look back to October 2020, and if they can find up to 60 days, they can be signing. So if you've already done your say you're starting at the end of the year and you've done your 60 days, you could be putting the forms in this week. So you need to sign them all and your supervisor needs to sign them all. So there's kind of a form at the beginning that everyone does retrospectively anyway, but there's a form that say, hey, this is application for work experience. This is where I'm going to be doing my work experience and who's supervising me. And then there's a declaration at the end. So that's kind of a set of forms, and you can have as many employers as you like, but a set of forms for each employer, for each supervisor. The final 15 days has to be done during PLT or after PLT, and you've got 2 years after your coursework completes to start your work experience. So you've got, as you can see, 2 years before, 2 years after to get that done. So it's actually a long period of time. You will then also do a reflective journal just on the final 15 days, and that completes your standard work experience. And there's no extra cost for that one. You'll just pay your course fee. Now, if you choose to shorten it and just do 15 days of work experience, those 15 days, much like the final 15 days of the standard option, have to be done during or after PLT. You complete them, you have them signed off, and then you enroll in the additional 6-week online program. So it's one extra subject called the clinical experience module, and there's an extra cost for that subject. And that's on offer pretty much ongoing. So full-time students can do that after they finish their coursework. So they do their 15 weeks and complete the 15 days, and then they enroll in the subject. So it's always time to start right after a full-time course. Part-timers can start it at week 16, so halfway through their program, and again they have to have completed their work experience and had that signed off. So I have had someone say to me, oh, can I just enroll and then do the work experience? I'm like, no, the subject is reflecting on that work experience and doing, you know, is based on that work experience. So you do have to do that first. Now, when COVID hit in 2020, we sat there with tears in our eyes, watching all the jobs fall off our jobs board, and everyone letting us know that, you know, all the volunteering positions dried up, you know, everything just stopped, as we all know. So it was really hard for people to get their work experience. I don't feel like that's happening now. I think it's a good job market that you guys are going into. But there isn't an additional option that we put in place at that time that's still running. As I said, it's available till mid 2023, but it sort of gets extended 6 months at a time. So I think when I did this presentation in the first half of the year, I was saying it was till the end of 2022, but now it's just bumped through till mid 2023. So next year you might hear that it's till the end of 2023. So we don't know, but that's how long we can guarantee it for the moment. So it's an additional subject called in practice component, and it's an 8-week subject where we match you with an online mentor. So each course group has someone like Jen, who's the online mentor for the group, but in this subject we give you a second mentor that's just for you. It's sort of a one-on-one relationship, and they walk you through a body of work that simulates work, the sort of the workplace, and that's what is your work experience. And there is obviously an additional cost for that extra subject. So those are the 3 options. But if you are working at the moment, these are all the different positions, because the rules are very flexible. We're looking to see that you have drafted documents, done some legal research, used a file management system, and had contact with clients. Obviously, you're not giving advice because that's illegal before you're admitted, but you are working with your instructing solicitor on sort of in the background, assisting with the legal process. You're an important cog in the wheel of justice. Let's just call you that. So many different roles, and the rules will fit many different roles, because obviously we're all going to land in different jobs potentially. Okay, so that's the second component. The third component is CPE, which is really probably the easiest thing to tick off. It's 10 self-paced online interactive modules that we give you through the learning portal that Jen showed you just before. And it's basically here, do these 10 at some time throughout the course. So you can smash them all out in one go, or you can do one a weekend or two a weekend. It's actually all completely up to you. And that is working through legal, technology, and business skills for the changing future of law. And this is unique to the College of Law, and we'll give you an extra certificate, which is the Certificate of Legal, Tech and Business. Pretty much tick that off, and that's your CPE done. When you are an admitted practitioner, you'll have to do a component of a CPE every year to have your practicing certificate renewed by the Queensland Law Society. So it's just practicing that. So that's the third component. So throughout the course, Jen talked about all the support that we give you, which pretty much starts from now. You obviously have me, your Queensland Relationship Manager. That's my job, to support Queensland University students and just give them any information they might need, or any assistance, or just to, chat to and talk about PLT. We also have a great team as part of our student services team. They're based in Sydney, but they're available on email and telephone, and they're there. They help with sort of the admin side of things. So any help with enrollments, or changing assessment dates, or enrollments, or picking subjects, or anything like that. They can help with all that, or just to ask questions. We also have people like Jen, who are your teachers, your lecturers, your instructors, your mentors, that will guide you through the program, and you'll have a dedicated lecturer for your cohort. Make a little joke that that's the den mother or the den father in charge of that little group of chickens, and trying to, well, maybe we should call you kittens, actually, because it is like herding kittens sometimes. Everyone's, at different. Jen has to keep track of where everyone is and make sure, that person hasn't handed stuff in. Let's check in with them and make sure we know what's going on. And that's also your first port of call within the course as well. So don't suffer in silence. If work's got mad, or something's happened with, a caring responsibility or whatever, you just need to go to your lecturer and talk about making a plan to get you through your course, without having meltdown. We also have a dedicated team of career coaches. So the lovely lady there is Susan. She has a colleague, Ruth, and they're available for one-on-one appointments only for college law students, and they're available for the 12 months after you finish the course as well, and they'll help you with interview prep, resume reviews, and building your personal brand. So they do a whole lot of free webinars, which we always send through to the LSA, and you might have seen some of them advertised on the girls website, and they're great. So they're free. You can go onto our website, there's a resources page, and you can catch up on anything that's already happened. We also give you, we're just launching something that will be here by the time you get here, is as you graduate from the College of Law as well, we've got, I don't know, the working name is the New Lawyer Toolbox. I don't know if it's going to have a fancier name. We're just playing around with things for names for it at the moment, or play on the word coal. But it's a New Lawyer Toolbox. It's this whole toolbox of online things. So your practice papers, which are your sort of how-to guides, and links to this and links to that, and all this sort of, it's going to be the first port of call if you're not sure about something. So that's really exciting. So that'll be here by the time you guys are finishing. And then obviously we have our jobs board and our alumni, and the sort of 50 years of people who have come through college behind us as well. So lots of support throughout, during, and after PLT as well. So I mentioned there was 3 different work experience options, and that will impact the cost of your program. So it's all available to be put on fee help for Australian citizens and permanent residents. So the course component, which covers all your course materials, all those resources, your portal, your practice papers, which kind of like your textbook, so you don't need to run out to the bookshop and buy anything, access to everything, your CPD is all within that your course content. So your course fees are $10,150 for Australian citizens and permanent residents, or $14,650 for international students. Now, if you're doing the short format, which is the clinical experience module, if you're doing the standard format, which is the 75 days, you just pay the course fees. That's it, done, dusted, nothing. If you're doing the short format and that one extra subject, you'll do your course fees, and then the clinical experience, you'll just add the subject fee on for that that extra subject. So it's a 15 days and a 6-week subject, which is an additional 1,610. That 10 is random. I don't know why it ends in a 10. I would have rounded it to 1,600. If you're doing the IPC, the 0 days, the in-practice component, the 8-week program, you'll pay your course fees and then the additional fee for that extra body of work, extra subject with your mentor, which is an additional $2,000. So that's how it's sort of a pay for what you need or what you're using. So rather than sort of one cost for everyone, there's no subsidizing anyone else. It's all, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm paying for. So that's how it works at college. Little bit of, this is now, I guess, nearly a year old, isn't it? 2021, over 5,000 people came through the College of Law on their way to admission. We ran 180 programs throughout 7 Australian states and territories. Susan and Ruth only started with us mid-year. They did 425 one-on-one career consultations. I know that's well over 500 as of a couple of months ago, because obviously we had a whole year with Ruth, and 277 qualified lawyers mentoring our students. So qualified lawyers like Jen, who has worked for many years in the profession and is now with us full-time and mentoring and inspiring the next generation of legal practitioners, or some of our, what we call our adjunct staff, who are still out there being barristers, lawyers, tribunal members, mediators, working practitioners who also work for us part-time, because they're dedicated to mentoring and supporting the next generation of legal practitioners. So hundreds and hundreds of years of experience if you combine them. Now, a couple of things I wanted to mention here. If you've got a real interest in AI, technology, disruption in the law, please connect with our Centre for Legal Innovation. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a second. Just celebrating 6 years of being around, really, part of the College of Law. If you also come back to us to your master's, very practical master's program, and I can hear the shutters because I know you're all keen to be finished, but you might think about doing that a couple of years down the track. It's a great step, sort of as you want to go through to specialist accreditation or sort of take that next step up in, sort of up through the career level ladder. Our masters are 8 subjects, but if you have done PLT with us, we'll give you credit for 2 electives, and that becomes 6 subjects. We have 4 start dates a year for each subject, and so that pretty much means you can knock out 6 subjects in a year and a half. So that's quite exciting, and then you have your masters. We have a jobs board. We had over 1,000 jobs last year go through that job board, and that probably is higher this year as the job situation improves. If you do like the sound of the Centre for Legal Innovation, they have a free student membership, so jump on our College of Law website, collaw.edu.au, and check that out. And they have heaps of events and bits and pieces that you can go to. Most of it's online, and it's a great way to connect and network into that space as well. Okay, so the choice is yours. College of Law, 100% online. Do you want to do week 1 face-to-face in the blended learning? Full-time 15 weeks, part-time 30 weeks. Also the evening option, and then standard work experience option, short format, or the IPC, the in-practice component. So lots of different options for you to choose your own adventure Did anyone read Choose Your Own Adventures books when you were a kid? I remember loving them. And you can choose your own adventure through the PLT program at the College of Law. Oh, a little bit more stuff. Over 30 law firms we're embedded into their graduate program. So Jen actually looks after a couple of groups of, I guess in Brisbane, we call them the Eagle Street top tier firms. And she trots down there quite regularly to catch up with them. And so we're actually their partner in training their graduates. It's about 70%. I just crunched these numbers today of people being admitted in Queensland in any given year have gone through the College of Law. It's 77% nationally, so about 70% in Queensland. And it's pretty much 49 going on 50 years. We've been training law students in Australia, law grads in Australia through, and lawyers, admitted lawyers as well. So pretty much we've been doing it a while. We're pretty good at it. We know what we're doing is what I'm trying to say there. And just to help you decide on, we just thought these are some great things to think about when you're thinking about your PLT selection. Are the regular intakes? Well, we've got 100 and, what did I say, 150 nationally and 30 or so a year in Queensland. So you don't have to wait very long for the next college intake. Study your way, part-time, full-time, evening, standard work experience, short work experience, in practice component, lots of different options for you there and a very flexible program. If you did want to smash it out quite quickly just to get to admission, and I know you all do, it's 15 weeks, which is pretty much one of the shortest program. I think it's the shortest program on the market, as long as you are, of course, doing everything that you're supposed to do on your side of things and keeping up with things, you can get through to admission quite quickly. Ask your friends and colleagues. So many Griffith graduates are also College of Law graduates, so you won't have to go very far to find someone. And of course, yes, we're a big national market leading organisation that 77% of grads go through, but how college runs is we have our own sort of, we run our own show in each jurisdiction. So we've got kind of the benefit of being a big national organisation, but also local campuses, local content, local practitioners. So you'll come, if you're coming face-to-face, you'll come to the Brisbane campus on Ann Street, just up the road from the Supreme Court, opposite King George Square. And then you'll have local practice papers. Jen's just reviewing those at the moment, along with some of our other colleagues. So we have Queensland practitioners that keep those update, and local practitioners teaching you. So hundreds of years of Queensland experience. So we think that's quite important. I've lost a C and a T. That was there last week. Sorry, I don't know where my C and my T went. Connect with the College of Law, that should say. So Facebook and LinkedIn are probably the best, but our website there is collelaw.edu.au/PLT, and contact me. That's my email address, but zip me through a link on LinkedIn, and that just means you can't lose me. And of course, follow the College of Law on social media as well. And if you do want to get in contact, and just go through Nicola or one of the LSA leaders as well, and more than happy for my details. Now, 7:03, we're doing quite well. I just want to be respectful that it's dinner time or study time or trashy TV time. I don't know what everyone's watching at the moment. My husband's doing House of Dragon. I'm sort of getting sucked into it. So that's what's happening at our house at the moment. But I know there's a few other things that have started, or like the block's just wrapping up. I don't know what you're into at the moment. But please let me know if there's any more questions, or if you wanted to ask anything specific.
I had a quick one. I don't know if you answered it during the presentation. I might have missed it or not. Do you have to wait until you've completely finished your graduation to begin PLT?
No, thanks for asking that question. I didn't. That's a great question, actually, Nicola. Okay, so, and this is often quite pertinent to Griffith students being on the trimester. You can come in your final semester for PLT if you have completed all your Priestley 11 subjects and have no more than 2 electives left to go. And that's within your whole course. So if you're doing a double degree, it's still no more than 2 electives left to go, but you have to finish your pre-11. You have to go through the admissions board and get permission, and that's a national rule for all PLT providers. But if you have actually finished your course and you haven't got your results, you can come into PLT, just enroll. We've had people do their last exam on a Friday and start on a Monday. In fact, I think we've had someone do the final exam on a Saturday and start on a Monday. That's a bit crazy. But you've got till our census date, which is week 5, to get your results in. So you don't need to actually have those results to get started. So yeah, thanks for asking that. So yes, you can final trimester if you meet that rule, but if you've finished and then want to start straight away, you don't have to have received your results. Thanks for asking that. I did forget to mention that. And I find a lot of Griffith students do that rule because of where your trimesters are. Excellent. Well, if you think of another question in the coming days or hours or minutes, just shoot me through a message on LinkedIn or an email, or I'll also be sending this recording to everyone, so you'll have my email, my contact details. But thanks, Nicola, for organising this, and for everyone for attending. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we've given you lots of information. I know it was a lot, but a lot to consider as you're moving through towards the end of your degree. So thanks everyone who was watching at home. Feel free to get in touch if you have any further questions.